Hi, I'm Kirra Collins. I'm the head coach for the Iron Angels, and I have Erin here. So it's her first competition in about 3.5 weeks. So we're doing a crossover between wellness and bikini. So I'm super excited to kind of go through those different poses as well. We've been really building her physique for the last, I would say, like 6 months. And so really critiquing it for that wellness physique, but you can kind of cross over in both. So we're really excited to kind of have her step on stage, see which one she likes, if she likes wellness more, bikini more. And 3 weeks after this show, we're gonna jump into another show, which is the Rocky. So we're gonna do wellness first. Okay. And so I'll walk you through that. And so she has those great ratios where she has the upper shoulders, her arms are now starting to cut a little bit. She's got that great taper, her glutes are defined. So we're gonna see as she cuts a little bit more, we're gonna see a little bit more cut lines here, a little bit more cut lines in her quads as well. And so let's do quarter turn. And with wellness as well, we're a little bit farther apart here, and then we're gonna start seeing more striations in her back glutes as well, more in those hamstring cuts. And then also she has that great taper as well in her back. Her delts are coming in perfectly. So let's quarter turn. Quarter turn back. Perfect. So with my first time competitors, I like to keep it very basic. So hitting those basic poses, keeping it very kind of consistent. Wellness is very new, and so we're still kind of learning those turns, learning those transitions. We like to keep it very basic for first-time competitors, and then each year we add a little bit more advancement. So she even does the little kind of like glute touch here. Those are little things that she's adding in to give her personality. So now we're gonna do bikini. Do full routine on that, so we'll walk from the line. She keeps that a little bit tighter, not so dominant on those quads. We're going to face forward. So having those transitions there. And back into that front pose. Sign off and back to the line. Good. A little bit different, so similar ratios, somewhat similar ratios. So she's going to have that bigger upper body, that taper here, that tiny waist. And we're really kind of pushing a little bit more harder on this glute. So we're getting more of this glute here, more of that tie-in as well. And then you also, she has a very, very, very tiny waist, which you need that in both divisions. So we can manipulate those quads. So we're not sure what division we want to go into this next year. So we're going to play with both divisions. So if she decides to go into wellness, we'll focus on building these glutes way bigger, building these quads way bigger. So do that front wellness pose. And so with this front wellness pose here, we definitely want to put more size on these quads, definitely if we're going to go into a national show and really put on that size. Put on size in this upper glute, keep this weight, this waist conditioned, and then her upper body looks really great already. So just little tweaks, and then go into that bikini front pose. So if we are going to go into bikini, say she's like, oh my gosh, like putting on that much size will be a lot. We could stay in bikini, and her quads already look really great for that bikini. We would just lean them out a little bit more, really lean out these hamstrings, really get this dialed in. We would have to potentially tone the arms just a little bit. They look great already. So as she gets closer and she's cutting, we'll watch these delts as well. She has a great taper here. We might bring the waist in just a little bit more next year as well too. So just these little tiny critiques. Then I do want to show you guys that back walk as well. She does this really well. Let's go to the curtain. Ready? Right. So all of my athletes practice this back walk all together, because this is what you do in the comparisons. And then we're going to face forward. Right, and back to that front line. And so we practice this with multiple athletes at a time. And let's do that back walk again, and I'll talk about that back walk. So what I have her doing is she's keeping these glutes high as she's walking and not dropping them. It's a very slow, precise walk. She's slowly moving that glute muscle into one, into the other as she's getting set. That's going to emphasize these tie-ins as well. And she's doing that slow walk, and then with her here, and then she's removing those glutes a little bit as we walk. So it's showing the judges that her glutes are not dropping. So we're keeping them up. They're very tight. They're very conditioned, and that's what they're looking for. So then I know if an athlete is dropping their glutes or they're moving while they're walking, then I know to encourage that, add that emphasis. Let's walk to the front line, and then also practicing that speed, getting back to that front line, and that just that dominance and that presence. Each time we play with her critiquing as well. Sometimes I move her foot forward as she cuts to see if do we want more development in this quad. Sometimes I'll move her foot back. A lot of athletes also have a discrepancy in their shoulders. So sometimes I have to move their shoulders up so we have that even definition there too. We just want to highlight everything. So that's also why we have that bikini up higher to create that tiny waistline. And there's just these little tiny little bits that we have to do with each athlete, because each athlete's different, each physique is different. So let's do full wellness off this one. Full routine. Another thing we practice too, you can kind of come up here as well. So another thing is we really focus on that show presence. So not only do she learn the routine, she learns the eye contact with those head judges the entire time. We put a practice head judge here during posing. So she's looking at that head judge. She's looking at the judges panel the entire time. She's not looking off to everywhere else. She's focused on those judges. She's bringing that personality, that smile. She's focused on those judges even as she's walking away. So not only do we focus on, she needs to know her placement in every single position up here on stage, every single position here, getting to that square, also her facial expressions and how she's carrying herself as she's looking at those head judges too. So they get every single aspect that they might encounter when they go do a show. And as an amateur first-time athlete, it can be very nerve-wracking. And always have to just stay conditioned, keep that presence, keep that, just always look conditioned, ready to go, but also know what to kind of expect. So just being polished. I also encourage them to do true novice, their open class, as many divisions as they can for their first time, and then be able to, their next show, kind of choose. So Erin's going to be doing six divisions. So we're going to do true novice and wellness and bikini, that novice and wellness and bikini and open classes, and both of those. And they all have different height divisions as well. So it'll be really fun. So she'll be that on stage 3 times, and then hopefully be in the overall for a bunch of those as well too. And also having them practice on the line and where that judge is looking, what looks best for their physique, what looks best for their glutes. And so I can literally maneuver her around, especially when you're here on this outer line here. You have to position your body differently towards the judge. So we practice on that individual posing one-on-one to make sure her physique looks the best every time. It's a really hard sport to pose in. So, and Erin does really good transitioning into both divisions, which is awesome. So you're the only athlete that I've ever had do some really good crossovers and be able to memorize both routines. And she adds her own personality into each one. So this back step that she's doing, she's adding that in. That's not a mandatory, so that's just some personality that she's putting in too.